are there like certain maybe strategies or guardrails, sorry, that companies can put in place to actually make sure that productivity isn't affected? I don't know. Is there such a thing, or there wasn't a like a concerted effort to look into that specifically when they moved when employee moved to work remotely?
No, I mean, I think that as much as you can define and as good as you can refine the metrics that each person is responsible for, that roll into the metrics for their department, their business unit, and ultimately the company, the better you're able to manage that productivity, and make sure that there isn't a slide in productivity. And a lot of the companies that I've worked with, certain people don't have an environment at home that would allow them to be productive. Um, and and so when that happens, one of the things that I often talk to companies about doing is, if somebody's not being productive, one of the first things you ought to do is say, you're just not being productive in the current environment. Let's have you come into the office where you maybe aren't going to have the same kind of distractions that you may have at home, and see if you can be productive. And if you can't be productive in the office, then maybe we have to look at parting company. But there's certain people that aren't going to be able to be productive at home. And on the flip side, there's other people who maybe are more productive at home. I do think one of the things that we saw with totally remote work, and are still seeing to some extent with the hybrid model, is that people tend to work longer, because they don't, if they're not just doing work while they're in the office, and have a little more flexibility. A lot of times the number of hours that they're working increase, which is certainly can be an increase in productivity as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a surprising, unexpected effect, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and depending on the situation, but some people that have really long commutes, well, if they're forced to go into the office, they may be much quicker to get out of there right after, an 8 or 9 hour day than if they have an hour commute on each side, then they're going to be when they're at home and they don't have that commute, and they have a lot more flexibility in when to do their work.
Right, right.